Hello and welcome to another episode of Breaking Mayberry, the only podcast that's 100% tax deductible. I'm one of your hosts, Marty Schneider.
I'm the other host, Dan Ludwig.
I forgot my name for a second. I was so caught up in that great gag, intro
the
gag.
thing people love to think about right now is their taxes. Yeah, I love it.
I mean, I don't know, dude. It's early April. Hello, we're Breaking Mayberry. We are a show about old television, specifically the Andy Griffith Show. We've been, if you're a listener, you might be a little annoyed with us right now. We've been a little weird on the schedule, but I have a good reason. I got COVID.
This guy got COVID so hard. It was nuts, you guys. He got locked in a room. He didn't even, it was a room. Basically got put into solitary confinement. It was awesome.
My beliefs on prison abolition have skyrocketed to the extreme. Holy crap. I had video games and the internet and stuff, and I went nuts in 4 days. I'm really upset that Sarah tested, positive because I was trying to keep it from her. That's why I was locked in there. But also, as soon as I was able to open up the door, I was like, it was like the beginning of Frozen. I was like, open up the gates!
I thought it was going to be like Shawshank Redemption, where you're like, I'm institutionalized. I don't know how to live in the outside world. It's awesome because you were hands down the carefulest person I know, and you got it. And we know somebody that's in Miami right now, just clubbing 24/7.
Yeah.
Clean as a whistle.
Yeah.
Yeah. In summation, God is real and he fucking hates Marty.
I'm going to tell you a story that serves as pretty good evidence to that. I'm most of the way recovered when this story happens. By the way, I'm fully negative now. So
I'm safe for anybody that was concerned.
Yeah. I'm not giving Dan COVID through Zencaster. We're not in this thing. But so I was about 80% of the way recovered, feeling, pretty still kind of crappy. And it was like a Saturday. Nope. It was Sunday night or Sunday afternoon. And just off in the distance, I can hear outside of my apartment, beep, 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 over and over and over again. And it's clearly like a fire alarm or like a burglar alarm or something. There's some sort of alarm that's been going off. And it goes off for several hours. And I'm sitting there, like, I have this real issue. Like, I don't want to call anyone. Like, I don't want to be responsible for getting one of my neighbor's doors kicked in. Mm-hmm. So I guess I'm just going to sit here and suffer with beep, beep, beep. And, that's happened before. Alarms have gone off in the neighborhood, and then eventually it turns off. But never so close to me that it's, in my apartment. Never so, nearby, and never for so long. Eventually, I see a fire truck pull up and stand on the corner by my house, and 3 fire. And by the way, I also can't go anywhere. Remember, I still have COVID, so I can't go and check on anyone. But I watch the fire department pull up. I watch the firefighters get out, and I go out onto my deck, my balcony, so that I can talk to them. And the beeping stops. There's no more beeping. And I kind of look over my balcony. I go, "Hey guys, what happened? What was it?" And he goes, and the firefighters go, "It was this trash can." There is a trash can outside of my house on the side corner that I don't know who it belongs to, but it's pretty much been used as a dumping ground for all the construction that goes on. Some fucking landlord, some dickhead, changed all of the smoke alarms in their building and then left a pile of them, just a pile of dying smoke alarms in a trash can outside my bedroom window.
That is an act of terrorism. Homeland Security should fucking take that person in. You should be tried without, like executed without trial for that shit.
Anyway, the firefighters just like press the buttons and turn them off, and then they go, all right, well, nothing's on fire here, so bye.
Waste of our fucking time.
And I was like, cool, glad I pay taxes. And so they
were in the middle of doing sweet fireman shit.
Yeah.
Like having a kick-ass chili cook-off or something.
So they leave. They brought the big truck too, man. It wasn't like there was a big truck parked outside for nothing.
They have to bring the big truck no matter what it is. Like they don't have a little fire truck. It's insane.
So they take off, and it's silent for a little bit. So I go to bed. I take some NyQuil, which means I am too unconscious to do anything. But what gets me through that? What cuts through that NyQuil at 1 a.m? Beep, beep, beep. Beep, beep, beep. So finally, like when I'm out of my drug-induced like stupor at like 8 a.m, I get up, toss on a sweater and a hoodie, and like Sarah's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm sitting there like, I go to the closet, I pull out a hammer, and I'm walking around the apartment like a psychopath, just humming to myself like dee 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 do do be. And I walk downstairs with a mask and like in a robe basically, and it's like 8 a.m, and I just, the scene in Office Space,
mm-hmm.
The one I'm talking about, the printer scene. I smash every one of these fucking smoke detectors. I take the one that's beeping, I throw it on the ground, I bruise my heel. I had trouble walking for 2 or 3 days because I just like put my foot down. But I also realized, it's 8 a.m. People can see me. Like someone like someone walks out across from across the street. I know she heard it all night. So she's like sees me just smashing it to bits, and I just wave. Here's the thing, I look like a psychopath pretty much all the time. Like, but I've got my hair just stranded. Like a man walking his child to school sees me smashing smoke alarms with a hammer and just like whisks him across the street. So anyway, the point is,
Philly urban legend now.
The point is, I have to move.
Yeah. You really have to be careful about what you do in a bathrobe, because like you turn into the Big Lebowski real fast.
I wasn't actually in a bathrobe, but I was definitely in like sweatpants and a hoodie. Like I was very clearly in my like night clothes. But yeah, no. I will tell you though, satisfying. Straight, like incredibly satisfying. One of the best feelings I've ever had in my life.
The closest I have ever been like moved to violence is at our old place at, I'm going to say it was at 3 a.m. a car alarm started going off. And it must have been nowhere near the person that parked it. They must have like parked like blocks away from their house, because it went off from 3 a.m. to like 9 a.m. on a weeknight. And at like it would go off for a little while, just long enough that you think, all right, it's over.
You think it's clear.
Yes.
Yeah.
It would go off for 30 minutes. And then it would blast right back on. And around 7 a.m., I seriously considered, I was like, if I got out and I took a baseball bat and I started smashing up that car, I made the calculation, like, would a cop arrest me for it if I explained what had happened? And I basically came to the conclusion of like, yes, but barely. It is like,
yeah. I mean, you live in South Philly. There's basically no rules as far as vehicles go. Like South Philly is essentially the Mad Max universe.
Yeah, I think it would depend on the cop and what their quota is, because if it was like the end of the month and they had to make some arrests, then I'd be screwed. But if I came up and the cop was like, hey, what's going on here? And I was like, oh, this car alarm has been going off since 3 a.m., so I'm caving in its windshield. He'd be like, all right, carry on.
It really depends, like, whether or not there's a Twisted Metal, like, vehicular warfare style battle going along, on outside of FDR Park at any given moment.
I did live in a block where people would regularly film dirt bike videos. Like, they would just do laps and, like, show off their sick bike. So they have bigger fish to fry.
So, before we get into today's episodes, I do want to give an alert to some astute, like, close listeners, people who pay way more attention to this show than they really should. You may have noticed that we had to go back into our archive and make a change to an episode title. Dan, would you like to explain what happened?
All right. So, a couple of months ago, I got a job, a great job, and in the process of being interviewed for that job, I had to do a video call, and the person that was interviewing me, my boss, said, "Hey, that's a really intense mic that you got there. Do you use it for video game streaming?" And I was like, "Well, I don't want him to think I'm a video game streamer, so I'll tell him that I have a podcast," which is totally better. And I was like, "It was for my podcast," and we had like a brief conversation about it. It was like, "Oh, you got a podcast? What is it about?" And I was like, film and TV criticism. And I was like, giving him nothing beyond that. Absolutely not. And he was like, "Oh, that's cool." And since then, I have been on a very, very strict thing of like, I'm not going to tell anybody about my fucking podcast because I don't want to be podcast guy at work. Sure. I don't want to be in a conversation. I don't want to be in like a work meeting and someone's like, "Well, hopefully Dan doesn't podcast about this." Like, like I come in on a Monday and be like, "Hey Dan, do any good podcasting this week?"
Let me tell you, dude, one time I got into an argument with my dad about something.
You've told this story.
Yeah, I'll tell it again. One time I got into an argument with my dad about something. I don't even remember what it was. I think I was right. But he, like, still won the argument because when I proved that I was right, he turned around and said, "Yeah, well, why don't you go and make a fucking podcast about it?"
And now imagine if that happened when I'm in an argument with, like, Susan from Risk Assessment.
Annihilation. Like, absolute annihilation.
I would have to quit my job. So it's come up, like, my boss has mentioned it a couple of times, very innocently, just like, "Oh yeah, Dan has a podcast." And every time I'd be like, "Oh God."
Anyway, get to the point.
And I was in a meeting with all my immediate coworkers.
Yeah.
And I was having difficulty with the microphone on my work laptop, and my boss said, "Well, Dan, is this how you go about podcasting?"
And in front of everyone?
In front of everybody. And my coworkers were all like, "What?" Blood in the water. Like, just absolutely. And they were like, "Dan, what the fuck is your podcast about?" And I was like, "I'm not telling you guys." And they were like, "Come on, give us a hint. You have to give us a hint." And I was like, "I don't have to tell you people shit." And then it was announced by one of my teammates that there was a $10 bounty on whoever can find my podcast. Luckily, Dan Ludwig is a surprisingly common name. I got a lot of cover. It saved me from a lot of background checks. Thank you, Daniel Ludwig, the invisible billionaire, some real estate fuckface who's been covering my ass since I was 12. Yeah.
That's the phrase you want to go with? All right, cool. Let's
I'm going to go with that. Yeah.
All right. Move on.
So I give you a heads up. You're deep in the COVID minds at this point.
Right.
And I was like,
you sent me a text.
And the text was, "Listen, I know we have bigger fish to fry, but I want to let you know that my coworkers found out I have a podcast and there's a $10 bounty on who can find it." And then
I left you on red. I left you on red for 5 hours.
Oh God, yeah, it was very long. And later, I'm like out with friends, and I just see, I'm playing fucking D&D at this point, and I just check my phone really quick, and your response is, "Dan, the first result for Dan Ludwig podcast is Dan Ludwig Orgy Concierge," a title for an episode of our podcast. And when we recorded that and decided to name the podcast in it, there is definitely a Discord message where I say, LOL, it's awesome that we're ruining SEO for my name.
So Dan Ludwig Orgy Concierge, which is now entitled A Perfectly Normal Dan Episode. I honestly, man, I think that's one of your best episodes. If you're gonna get found out, like, it's a good episode.
No, it's an absolute shame. I mean, I guess A Perfectly Normal Dan Episode is as good of a title for one of ours as anything. I guess it's about as good as Where Else Are We Going to Find a Big Pile of Hay?
For some reason, that's our most popular episode regularly.
Oh, God. I do just want to relay the message. If you are one of my coworkers and you have won the contest and discovered this episode of the podcast, get out of here. You get picture me. I have a double barrel shotgun and I'm wearing overalls and I am a hillbilly yelling you to get off of his property. You get out of here. You're not welcome in these parts. You go. You don't tell anybody what you heard.
So this is just about as good a reason as any to shift into the actual episodes today.
Get out of here.
This is a long intro because I don't think we're going to talk about these episodes for very long. We've mentioned before that like seasons in the 60s lasted a lot longer than seasons today. Mm-hmm. Even your standard episode or like your standard TV season now is like 16, 18, 22 episodes at the most. Mm-hmm. Every one of these goddamn Andy Griffith seasons is 32 episodes long. And I think that the following episodes were kind of one of the reasons why they decided to shorten it. Because these are straight up reruns. They're technically new episodes, but they are beat for beat, plot by plot, stuff that we have done before. Or it's like remixes of like elements before. But we've done this before. We're shutting up and playing the hits, and not even the hits are not even that interesting. Both of these episodes are repeats.
We made a decision where we were like, is this when we finally just skip an episode? We've skipped episodes before they were for like political reasons. This is the first one we're like, is an episode finally so boring that we're going to skip it? And you called an audible and said, no, we're going to do them. And then I went to watch them and fell the fuck asleep. My first time ever actually hard passing out to one of these TV show episodes and had to watch them on the train right before this. So good call, probably. Gonna be a barn burner.
It's gonna be. We're gonna have to have fun. Let's start with you know what's funny? Normally when we do these twofers, we start with the more interesting episode. I don't know which one of these is more interesting, so we're gonna go with season 4, episode 28. The Return of Malcolm Merriweather.
Yeah.
Airs.
I feel like we can describe this in like 12 seconds.
It
easily.
Airs April 20th, 1964, written by Harvey Bullock, directed by Kobe Ruskin. Here's your 1-cent summary from Wikipedia. Malcolm Merriweather, by the way, if you don't remember who Malcolm Merriweather is, he's the weird little British dude that was Andy's butler for one episode. And I think we both agreed that we liked that guy, right? Like,
he was adorable. He remains adorable.
We loved having him. But anyway, Malcolm Merriweather returns to Mayberry, doing housework and cooking for Andy and making Aunt Bee feel unneeded. Mm-hmm. All right. Yep. So, I mean, I don't feel the urge to go beat by beat on this, but basically, this is what happens. We have a scene of Andy and Barney jaw-jacking. Barney does his bullshit about his weird... Barney talks about his blood sugar a lot. How he has a clock in his stomach, and he has to always eat at certain times, or else his sugar blood will go down. And
you're getting a lot of mileage of the fact that this character becomes hungry at normal intervals. That really being like, this is what we're gonna lock on to.
And he does my mother was like that thing again, too, which is super Norman Batesy. Every time he brings up that, I don't know why he makes that a point. Like, my mother had that thing, too. Who gives a fuck? Who cares, my man? But he does it a lot. I don't know what the joke is. I don't know what I'm supposed to laugh at. I don't understand any of it, but they do it all the time.
like I after a certain point I feel like has the comedy part of my brain just been burnt to a crisp by this show? Like, is there something, are we just like taking it too seriously and this was actually like perfectly fine? Or was it, or am I sane and it was just two men having a very normal conversation?
It's two men having a very normal conversation about why a woman is late with their lunch. That's what the cause of this is.
Just a character saying, hey, I get hungry around lunchtime, and a character going, oh, do you? And a character saying, yes. And the other character saying, that's neat. And then basically Andy does Barney gets mad because he's like, you're talking shit on my mom. And Andy just goes, so your mom gets hungry at lunchtime. And he's like, fuck you. You went too far, man.
Dan is not exaggerating what happens in this scene. Aunt B shows up, drops off tuna fish sandwiches, and leaves. And then they sit there eating their sandwiches. Barney, by the way, not even a fucking blood relative, complaining about his sandwich being late. Shut up, Barney.
Son of a bitch.
So they're sitting there, and Andy goes, boy, that Aunt B sure does a lot. I wonder if she knows how much we appreciate her. Well, guess there's no way I could ever be sure of that.
This is the most half-assed way to deal with this situation. It's another episode that is entirely predicated on everybody being a fucking idiot.
Malcolm Merriweather shows up. They hear a commotion outside, and there's Malcolm riding his bicycle on the wrong side of the road, really in the middle of the road. And they go, hey.
So basically, Malcolm's deal is that he's a hobo butler.
Yeah.
He's a freelance hobo butler who travels the land being a butler for people, like, which
he just wanders around like will press socks for money. Like,
what does he do? Because he's been like, I've been traveling America and I've been butlering to make to be able to afford things because things are so expensive here in America.
On his bike? Is he traveling America by bike?
Yes.
He doesn't seem to have any suitcase or anything. He says that he wants to make his way up to Gettysburg next, which is hundreds of miles away.
Yeah. He must be putting it on the front of a bus. That's the only explanation. My best guess. But he's how is he going about soliciting being someone's personal live-in butler without getting arrested for prostitution? Like, there's no way to pitch that of like, I'd come to your house and service you on a regular basis. And the cop just doesn't go like, all right, buddy, come on. We've heard this song before.
He comes in, he eats lunch with Andy and Barney, and they say, well, Andy gets an idea. He gets the idea that he's going to show his appreciation for Aunt B by giving her some time off, getting her some help so she doesn't have to do so much work. He goes, come on, Malcolm, you're going to come and work for us for a few days or whatever. They bring Malcolm home. Remember, the last time Malcolm showed up, it was one of the many episodes where Aunt B has to go out of town for some reason.
Yeah.
So she's barely ever encountered this man, I think.
And in the past, his thing was he's a very good butler, but also he's overbearing and like borders on harassment, and he's too much. And in this, he's just like the omni butler. He's just like, he's like the house from Smart House. Like, he's just everywhere with whatever you need.
Yeah, so they come in, they say, hello, Aunt B. Malcolm's going to do work for you now. And that's the next couple of scenes. It's just he cleans. He gets Opie to dress nicely. He puts Opie to bed. He does magic tricks.
The whole thing is very much based on the fact that Aunt B at no point says that she wants this. She is at no point like, oh, hell yeah, butler. I'm going to kick back, crack open a Mai Tai, love it. She's like, oh, this is fine, I guess.
No, Aunt B actually reacts like an addict going through withdrawal.
Yes.
Like she kind of wanders around the house itching herself, looking for that next hit of dirty clothes.
Yeah. And taking massive psychic damage anytime they appreciate anything Malcolm Merriweather does.
I fucking hate the way that they've done Aunt B. I hate the characterization of Aunt B at this point. This is one of multiple episodes that have basically just like turned Aunt B into like a fucking magical enchanted item from Beauty and the Beast.
Basically.
Like, life is so unnerving for an Aunt B that's not serving. Like, she loses her fucking mind. And it's because she has no personality.
She's basically a sentient Roomba.
It's because she has no personality. No one has ever valued her or ever given her time to do anything.
She's developed into the saddest creature because, like, I don't remember. Was early Aunt B, she was like internal life and wants and dreams. And now she is like, Aunt B do dishes. Aunt B dishes done. Aunt B make dinner. Dinner done. Aunt B clean. Aunt B go back to her little hutch to recharge. Like, she is a fucking machine. And if you just take like an immediate household chore out of her hands, she just goes, why do I exist? Why? What was it? What is the point of me? Like, if she's not immediately accomplishing a menial chore, she's screaming to the heavens in an existential despair.
I got my animated movies wrong. She's the fucking air conditioner from Brave Little Toaster.
Yeah!
The one that freaks out and sparks and dies at the very beginning of the movie. Because no one's using her anymore.
Yes, it's deeply sad. She's not like, oh, I have time off. I'm going to go visit friends out of state, or I'm going to go read or something. The thing is, they're like, all right, Aunt B is in a horrible depression because she's not doing menial labor. Let's get her back to doing menial labor so she'll be happy. And not like, let's take Aunt B on a much needed vacation to discover herself.
It's the classic Andy Griffith thing of, if you are one thing, you will always be that thing. You can never be anything other than that thing, and you'll be unhappy if you don't get to be that thing.
Yeah.
Like, that's pretty much it. Everybody in Mayberry kind of wanders down to the most basic elements. I fucking imagine being Francis Bavier and having to do this shit.
Yeah.
When was the last time we saw Aunt B teach a lesson? When was the last time Opie learned anything from Aunt B? When was the last time Opie interacted with Aunt B? Like, yeah. She's not there for any particular reason other than to be a fucking house, like, other than to be a vacuum cleaner. I hate what they've done to Aunt B. It infuriates me. This episode is ostensibly an Aunt B episode, right? This is an episode about Aunt B, but she's hardly in it.
She has like 3 lines.
It's everyone around her talking about her. The ultimate resolution here is that Opie and Malcolm have a moment. Opie mentions that Aunt B used to sing while she was working, and Malcolm goes, "Really? I've never heard your aunt sing." And she goes, "Well, she doesn't sing anymore, but when she was working, she would be so happy and she would sing." And so Malcolm, rather than just leave, because he's only supposed to be there temporarily anyway. This is the part that gets me. Malcolm has already declared his intention to leave. He's only there for a few fucking days.
Okay.
But rather than just bail, Malcolm's plan here is to pretend like he's drunk on the job.
And just the guy that plays Malcolm, I think he's a good actor. He's a delightful little guy. I like a little guy. He's like a little
scamp
mogwai dude. Little dude. He's like a little Pokemon. This has got to be the worst drunk acting I have ever seen.
I mean, I get that he's supposed to be fake drunk. Like, he's not really drunk.
No, it's like they've never seen a drunk person. Like,
it's how you would act if you were like a kid that like had a glass of champagne and was trying to pretend that you were drunk in front of your friends.
You know when you're drunk and you act like you're hooked up to a malfunctioning invisible jetpack?
Yeah.
And you just kind of rock it all over the room? If you showed me that person and said, this person is actually literally drunk, I'd say, this person needs to go to the fucking hospital for alcohol poisoning. Or something worse, because they have been spiked with, like, DMT.
But he just kind of wanders around going, ooh-dee-doo, I'm British. I can't find a ladle.
Bad.
And it goes on forever.
It's the showcase of the fucking episode.
It's their big piece. It's their big, like, we've got this guest star and it's...
because the show takes place in a dry county, so none of these characters know what a drunk person is like. But it's like,
except yes, they do. They see Otis every day.
Right? Yeah, but it's like, yeah, what the fuck? Hal Smith is a great drunk actor. It's like the people writing the scene had never seen a drunk person, so they were doing some sort of meta writing where they're like
again, Malcolm's not really drunk. He's pretending to be drunk.
No,
so he's just doing a bad job of pretending.
Yeah, it's such a bad job of pretending to be drunk that it's like,
and for some reason, our heroes, Andy and Barney, they fall for it immediately. Like, Andy should be able to go, no, you're not.
Yeah,
you're not fucking drunk. Knock it off. Like,
yeah. So rather than just being like, hey man, your aunt is super depressed, based off of the fact that I'm doing her job. Maybe you could pick up on that by the fact that she's locked herself in her bedroom and is wailing constantly. Or the fact that, if you look at her face, look, do you know the difference between a frown and a smile? You see how it's almost exclusively doing a frown? It's bad.
It's funny. Like, the entire episode, if you were an Andy Griffith fan, you would say that this is an episode that shows that Andy cares about Aunt B. He's just misplaced. His care is just misplaced. But he's got a weird way of caring in that he doesn't pay attention to her at all. Like,
you know what? What's great is he's paying this motherfucker to clean his house and shit instead of like sending her on a vacation or something. Like, he's like, here's how we're going to like take care of you is getting me better house care.
Yeah.
Like I got us all a gift of this butler to take care of my every whim. Aren't we all happy? Stupid.
They finally figure out that Malcolm is faking it because Opie notices that a whole bunch of cooking sherry has been poured down the drain. By the way, that's what he claims to get drunk on, is fucking cooking sherry. Which,
can you get drunk on cooking sherry?
I guess. I mean, it is alcohol. Like,
yeah.
Real difficulty would be like swallowing a bottle of fucking cooking sherry. It's not.
Yeah.
Like, it's basically vinegar. Like.
Yeah. Oh, fucking A. So that's that one?
Yeah. I mean, Malcolm,
dog shit?
Malcolm goes away and Aunt B is happy again because she gets to wait on these assholes hand and foot.
Because she's a fucking droid from Star Wars.
She's a fucking gonk droid, yeah. So that's it. That's that episode. Yeah, we
what's our time on that?
33 minutes? Ooh, man.
We're trucking.
Okay, all right.
Do you have any tangents you want to go on, motherfucker?
I thought I had a tangent here. All right, next episode. Next episode. All right, we can do some stuff with this. Next episode, The Rumor. Season 4, Episode 29, airs April 27th, 1964. Written by Greenbaum and Fritzl. Directed by Kobe Ruskin. Here's your 2-sentence summary from Wikipedia. Barney starts a rumor that Andy and Helen are engaged after he sees them kissing in a jewelry store. He then holds a surprise party for the bewildered couple. We've done this!
Literally. This is the one that is at best, a remix.
Like, we've done this before with one of Andy's other girlfriends, and they stalked him like serial killers in the woods. It climaxed with Andy and his girlfriend in the car just being hunted by surprise partygoers. So
attacked with swarm tactics.
Yeah. I didn't realize when we watched it that was going to be the more interesting version of this. So yeah, that's what happens. Andy's wandering around town. He sees Helen Crump in the jewelry store. Decides to pop in and check on her. She's buying a gift for her niece. The jeweler is in the other room, and they just we're alone. Let's have a little kiss. Let's just do a quick sneak little kiss. And they kiss like two fucking largemouth bass running into each other.
We really get a window into their relationship, which I would describe as Japanese businessmen closing a deal. Which is like, oh, how are you doing today? I am doing well. Wonderful. Let us enjoy our time together. Like, just the driest, like they are. Every time they interact, it is like they are meeting for the second time, and the first time they interacted did not go very well.
They don't like each other.
No,
they don't care about each other at all.
They at no point are they like, I like this about you. I like this about you. They don't have any sort of like back and forth. They're just both basically like, well, you're a warm body. Like, that's it. You seem to be an upstanding member of society. So do you. I'm assuming that you're not going to murder me in my sleep, as I assume with you. Well, in that case, let's begin a long-term relationship.
I mean, I've seen worse. So,
yeah.
Barney is wandering by, and he happens to see the couple engaging in these very sexually charged kiss.
Mm-hmm.
And he, I don't know, jumps right out of his fucking skin. He goes to Thelma Lou, and Thelma Lou's like, well, what's going on? What makes you think that they're up to something? And Aunt Barney yells, they're kissing in the jewelry store!
And he says at one point, like, I deduced it. And she goes, Barney, you can't use those big words with me. You know how dumb I am compared to you. So it's kind of, the mystery has kind of been solved on what the fuck is going on here. And we got the piece to the puzzle, which is Thelma Lou kind of dumb. Because Thelma Lou thinks Barney's a genius. So that explains how all of this has been happening, where she's not all there.
And Barney just keeps on, like, is happy to indulge that.
It's so condescending. And she's just like laps it up. He's like, well, as a smart person talking to a dumb person, she's like, I'm the dumb person. Go on.
So they figure out that, they were kissing in the jewelry store. They must be buying a wedding ring. They're getting married, I guess. And Barney says, okay, don't tell anyone we know. I know that you're a dumb woman and you can't help but tell people. Cut to Barney telling Aunt B. Which, again, we've done this. It was the same fucking gag. Aunt B, by the way, I gotta be honest here. I know it's not right to make a whole lot of judgments on appearance, especially, in black and white television. Mm-hmm. But Frances Bavier looks like shit these 2 episodes.
Yeah.
She looks like she's recovering from pneumonia. I don't know what is going on, but she looks completely out of it. I get the feeling she may have been drunk on the fucking set.
Yeah.
She's so glass-eyed.
Which do you think they just wrote around it, where they were like, oh, Frances Bavier's hammered, so we need to write one episode where she's in a horrible depression and another one where she's crying constantly.
She's crying the entire episode. Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
So
God, this woman makes me sad.
So basically, the same thing happens as in the previous episodes, where Barney just slowly tells everybody. And I don't think it's worth going into the specifics of it, just because it's just every scene, Barney Fife walks in and he goes, Andy is getting married. And everybody goes, oh, wow. And he's like, yes. And then he walks to the next scene. He's like, Andy is getting married. And everyone's like, oh, wow. And he's done this before. And the thing that happened to Aunt B is the same thing that happened before, where she fucking melts. Just is like, oh, I'm so happy. I've been waiting so long for this. This is everything I've wanted for so long. Opie will have a mother. My life is so fulfilled.
Wait a minute. Holy shit.
Yeah.
These 2 episodes make no sense back to back. Right? If Aunt B can't handle Andy getting a butler, what the fuck does she think is going to happen when Andy gets a wife?
Oh, she'll kill her. They'll just do it like the Brady Bunch, where, they have the wife that doesn't do anything and the housekeeper, and
she basically becomes Flo the maid, right? Like the live-in maid.
Yeah.
Which is, I guess, what she is now. Christ. But she spends the entire episode weeping. And also, I feel like this is some projection weeping, because there's the one big change between this episode and the last one is the last time they did this plot line, I mean, is a big plot point revolves around them redoing Andy's bedroom when he's not around.
Yeah.
They refurnish his bedroom because they've like, okay, well, if they're going to live here, they can't, like, we need to feminize Andy's room a little bit.
No, sir. No, sir. They're not redoing the room for them living together. They are redoing the room for their, like, their night of their engagement.
Yeah, their consummation.
Like, we need this room to be perfect for when they plow for the first time. That is basically what they say of like, all right, so they're engaged, which means they're gonna fuck, which means this has to be a very feminine room for them to have sex for the first time in.
And Aunt B starts crying like, I've dreamed of a room like that my whole life.
I've wanted to be deflowered in a room like this my entire life.
They buy another bed. They buy them a bed with a cover on it. They buy them a bed with fringe. And haul it upstairs. Andy's bedroom is upstairs. What do they do with his old bed? Why do they? Beds are expensive.
Barney sets it on fire in their backyard.
They put new wallpaper up.
Yeah.
They've got a whole fucking crew working on this. And the cover for this, like the way that Barney like makes sure that Andy's not coming home is he opens up a file cabinet drawer too hard so that all the files fall down. And then he leaves
runs.
And then bails.
And then he just destroys a file cabinet and dashes out, which for anybody else would be the weirdest shit you've ever seen. And for Barney is just like, and at this point Andy is just numb, where he's like, it's like your dog shit on the floor, where you're just like, ugh, I'm gonna have to rub his nose in that later.
First off, he only does it with one drawer, and I don't know how big these filing cabinets are, but I feel like that has to be a job that takes 40 minutes at most to put back together.
So, just to be clear, basically, Barney says if Andy wanted to tell us that he was getting engaged, he would tell us, and it's not our part to ruin the surprise. And everyone's like, yes, that is a very good reason to not bring it up. And he's like, yes. So what we need to do is have a surprise party to tell him that we all figured it out. And everyone is like, I already forgot the first thing that you said. So this sounds like a great fucking idea.
Also, at this point, it sounds like a scam because Barney goes around collecting money and donations for everyone for the party.
100%.
Like
he was skimming off the top on that.
Yeah, he goes around. He's like, yeah, come on, we're taking up a collection plate, and then he goes and buys fucking like RC cola. Like
he just uses it to do DMT out in the woods.
Like he has a couple of $100 from everybody he's like collected from, and he buys like 2 6-packs of PBR. Like,
yeah,
he did it. Yeah, fucking bullshit. And you know it's bullshit because like when he gets called on, he goes, well, I'm sorry, I lost the book where I recorded everything.
There was no fucking book. It's so good. Then everybody tells him how much he owes, and he starts immediately arguing with all of them.
We do see Floyd again. Howard McNear can't get out of a chair. He spends the entire time sitting, which I don't know. I mean, like 90% of Floyd's whole thing is being physical and walking around and being weird. So it kind of makes you wonder why he's even there anymore. But it's nice to see Howard.
He pops up basically every 5th episode and just goes, I'm here. I exist still. They haven't written out my character. And Andy's like,
obligating my contract for me.
And Andy's just like, hey, Floyd, you exist over there? And he's like, I sure do, bud. And he's like, all right, you don't come over here. You stay seated over there. That's cool. Like, he doesn't do jokes.
Floyd gets to go, couldn't if I wanted to.
Yeah. Fucking...
It's just sad, but I mean, I guess it's nice to see you, Howard. Glad you're doing okay.
So this culminates in an absolute... The good thing about this episode, as opposed to the previous episode, Barney does this exact thing in the previous episode, and just ruins Andy's night. and then
Credits
never
roll.
finds out that he did anything wrong, and it just kind of has a great time. This one, thankfully, it's a fucking car crash, and Barney is wildly shamed by the entire community.
Yeah, really the main reason I decided that we needed to do this episode is because Gomer straight up says, "Don't you ever fucking call me dumb ever again."
Yeah.
Like,
just
Gomer comes up to Barney after it's been found out that Barney fucked this up and they're not getting engaged or whatever, and goes, "That was dumb. That was the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Don't you ever call me dumb again, you fucking moron."
Which feels like, because Gomer's gone in like 2 episodes or something.
Yeah, we got like three Gomer episodes left, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. And this kind of feels like he's wrapping up loose ends where he's like, "Oh, I'm no longer under the thumb of this fucking despot that's just constantly undermining me and ruining my life. I am free because I've seen him disgrace himself in front of the entire community." But all right, so before we get to this, Barney's plan to stall for time for the party is to torture Andy and Helen, is to just basically say, "We're all going out for lunch together, but we can't decide on where to go for lunch. I've locked you in the back of a cop car, and I'm going to make you suggest places for us to eat, and then I will one by one shoot them down." Until Andy is like, "I am so fucking hungry, I am ready to murder you."
Yeah.
Yeah. So
you know that conversation that you sometimes have with your friends or partners where you'll argue like, "Well, what do you want to eat? I don't want to eat this. How about this place? I don't want to eat that." And you know how fun that is? You know how everyone has a good time, and it absolutely was not a contributing factor of my divorce? Like, you know how that's a fun thing? That now imagine how much fun you'll have watching your favorite TV characters do it.
This is basically like the Barney Fife guide to celebrating your friend's engagement. Step 1, tell all of their loved ones before they get a chance to. Step 2, torture friend for a prolonged period of time. Starve them in the back of a car. Step 3, initiate surprise party, which goes, it's fucking devastating, like real life devastating. Because all of it, Andy has to look all of his loved ones in the eye and say, "Oh, that thing that you were really happy about," Ampy's crying over there, by the way. Ampy, you're going to want to stop your tears of joy and turn them into tears of genuine sorrow, because I have to break your fucking heart. Like, all my closest loved ones, I have to individually break all of your hearts by telling you that the thing you're super excited about isn't happening.
I mean, not only is it not happening, he kind of says, "We haven't even talked about this." Mm-hmm. It's like when you're at a basketball game and the kiss cam zooms in on 2 people who are not together, and like, you made a wild presumption about these 2, and now everyone has to deal with the embarrassment.
It has the energy of the kiss cam zoomed in on brother and sister. Like, they react that way of like, move the camera.
That's a much briefer way to say what I just went with. Yeah, for sure.
Every second you're doing this is trauma. Go over there. No, don't zoom in more, please. Fucking, yeah, they drag them up to their renovated bedroom where they're like, "You're going to fuck here." When we're so happy about it as a community. We're all going to be downstairs with tears in our eyes, just crying.
Just listening.
While you fuck. I'm going to hug your child as you plow her. I'm so happy.
Oh, we should say, for like, the one saving grace of this is that they don't fucking tell Opie. They do not tell Opie that he's getting a new mom.
Oh, God. He would have, like... I mean, but the thing is, this will be the 12th time this would happen, where if they said, like, "Opie, you're getting a new mom," he'd be like, "Again? Fuck. How many times are you going to tell me this? I'm not falling for it again. I'll believe it when I see it." He's imprinted on so many women that have promptly bounced.
there's one part of this episode that we skipped over that I do want to talk about. And that's like, there's a scene between Helen and Thelma Lou. So I guess this episode passes the Bechdel test. But there's a scene between them where Thelma Lou is trying to find out when they're picking up the ring and when the big day is. And it starts with Helen walking a child home from school, just like a young girl named, I don't know, Ethel or whatever. And Ethel goes home, runs onto her porch, and Helen yells at her, "Goodbye, Ethel. Oh, don't forget to have your parents put something on your sty."
What the hell was that?
Just blowing up your personal information, just yelling. This adds nothing to the scene, just you yelling a weird detail about this child's health and well-being. Sties are gross. I'm sure this this preteen girl doesn't want other people to know about this weird gross pustule on her eye. What the fuck, Helen? What the fuck, writers? Why did you put this line? Was it improv? Why is this line here? Why is it?
Good night, Nathaniel. Remember to tell your parents about your shingles, everybody. This dirty little fuck has shingles. All right, night, everybody. I'm a wonderful school teacher. I had to walk Ethel home because I wanted to make sure she wasn't going to get her sty all over everybody.
It's like if when your school teacher checked your head for lice, they also aired that on basic cable. Like, what the fuck? Anyway.
I would watch that. I would watch it and gamble on it. Just like, be like, oh, I got 300 on that little redheaded fucker. Look at him. He's greasy. He's got some up in there.
Oh, yeah. Let's go ahead and point this out. Opie for sure has head lice, right? Like
100%.
I can't fucking understand any of this episode. Other bits and pieces that happen here. Opie's trying to figure out why Aunt B is crying all the time. He has a bit where he explains what he thinks allergies are, because Johnny Paul Jason has allergies, or as he calls them, allergics.
It's pretty charming.
Andy explains that sometimes women just cry for no reason. Maybe she heard a song that made her think of something. And Opie goes, well, maybe she's thinking of, like, Opie doesn't show that he understands human emotion, or that he understands human emotion about as well as any child raised by Andy Taylor would. But he's like, okay, so she saw the liver that we're eating and thought about last week that we had liver, and now she's crying? And Andy's like, yeah, sure, whatever, kid.
Sometimes a woman in your life just starts weeping over the sink, and you don't ask why it's happening. And then in 3 years, she leaves without telling you. And those two things are completely unrelated. And that's just life, you know?
By the way, haven't seen your mom in a while. Have we gotten confirmation that Andy's a widower? And
she's hella dead.
Dude, I don't know. She may have fucking bailed, because I would.
Yeah, like, okay.
She may have looked around at her life and been like, I have too much self-respect, and fucking took off.
I mean, we've always assumed that she's dead, but if that's the case, they are all handling that pretty well. Because
it wouldn't be the first time that we've seen a woman disappear from Mayberry and nobody ever mentioned it ever again.
Yeah, it's true. Like, yeah, she might have just
There is precedent for this.
Yeah. Yeah, because they never go visit her grave. Opie's never like, where's my mom? And Andy's like, heaven.
We've never even seen a picture of her.
They just act like Opie sprang from Andy's head like fucking Zeus. Like
you would think that maybe Andy would like have a picture of his wife. Maybe still has his old wedding ring or something. No.
One time, as an explanation for where he is in a romantic state, just be like, by the way, dead wife, yada, 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 trauma related to that, intimacy.
I mean, this is the perfect episode to do it, too, because, like, credit where I guess is due in this episode. This is one of the few times when Andy actually talks with someone about their feelings. Because after he kicks everybody else out of the room, Andy's like, hey, listen, Helen,
okay. All right. No, I need to interject here because this scene blew me the fuck away. Because this is the big romantic talk. And here's how it breaks down. Helen, Andy, you appear to be an upstanding member of the community, well liked by the people around you. And Andy says, ah, yes, as with you, they all appear to respect you as a human being. And she says, that's very kind of you. I am, while I am at this time not interested in marriage, I am open to the concept at a later point in time. Oh, I am very interested in my career and proper utilization of my degree before I engage in a long-term marriage. And Andy says, we have reached an agreement. We have consented to a situation that we are both satisfactory with. Let us go enjoy merriment. That's it. It's the driest. There might as well have been a fucking notary there to like stamp their agreement. It was so divorced of human intimacy that it was fucking nuts. That is like they kissed, but it might as well have been a firm handshake.
And then they go downstairs and that's it. Like they have a party anyway, I guess. Barney owes a lot of people money. I've
seen this man have like more sexual tension with a car than with this female character. Like, it is absolutely bonkers.
It's so weird how like devoid of chemistry he is with every woman that comes on the screen.
But it's not even Andy Griffith the actor. It's the writing. It's not his body language that's bad. The writing always just writes him as like, well, hello there, woman. I am romantically interested in you. Would you like to fill out this form and sign it and tell me that you would like to be in a relationship?
I disagree. Because like, at least at the beginning, like with early girlfriends, he like had to charm them, right? He had to use his like southern charms and take you out and like blow on some grass to make it sound like a hawk. You know, that fucking shit that he did. So he like had to have personality here. It's like now that they've introduced Helen Crump, they've decided, we don't got to put that much effort into it.
Well, we've kind of like crafted this real ass narrative of like, he moved to this small town and he basically took it over. He superseded their mayor. He basically destroyed the entire government aside from him. As far as I can tell, the town doesn't have a fucking mayor now. It's just Andy.
I was about to say, when was the last time we saw a mayor?
Yeah, he gradually seized power, and as he was at the height of his power, he met a woman from his past who went away to Chicago, and he realized that his kingdom had become a prison, and he's tormented by these bumpkins in his life, and now he's just with Helen Crump because she's a warm body. And this is just where he is in his life, just listlessly moving through things with a woman who has, at best, a passing interest in him. And they're just both like, we're too good for this place. And we both know we're too good for this place. And we're basically at this point, you're the only person I can stand to be around who doesn't constantly piss me off. And that's enough.
4 more seasons, everyone.
Yeah. Woof. It's bleak. This show has become brutal. It's turning into King of the Hill in that, like, if you read between the lines even a little bit, it's the saddest fucking thing you've ever seen.
125 more episodes.
By season 6, you're just gonna like start every episode with Andy holding a gun to his head and screaming.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Breaking Mayberry. I hate my life. Please kill me. I'm one of your hosts, a miserable pile of secrets.
I'm your other host. I have no mouth and I must scream. Fucking A.
Ratings for these fucking episodes? Okay.
Dog right. Shit.
Okay. Both of these fucking 0 Andy meter. I hated watching all of them.
I fell asleep. I fell asleep the first time I watched them, and then I almost fell asleep on public transport watching them the second time. Like, I almost missed my stop and had to go out to Allentown.
You almost woke up in Allentown. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah. So it's that. It's there.
It's a trip to Allentown out of...
Which, if you are local, you know how fucking brutal that is.
I mean, Billy Joel wrote an entire song about how much that sucks.
Yeah.
So, Barney meter, though. You know,
all right, Barney meter.
I'm gonna say some fucking high Barney meter for the Malcolm Merriweather episode, because it's just like way it's furthering just this weird like idea of treating someone or taking the women in your life for granted, and pretty much just like objectifies is the wrong word, but it treats Aunt B as if she is an object that you can just take for granted, and even while pretending that you care.
It objectifies Aunt B in the most literal possible sense.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it applianceifies her. Like it between these two episodes, it does paint the bleakest picture, because also in the second episode, there is the little nugget where she's basically like, I always dreamed about being in a room like this when I get married. So they're kind of basically like, all right, so there's going to be women in your life, and they've never been married. They're spinsters, and they are pointless,
of no value.
You need to give them menial chores, because otherwise they realize how hollow their lives are. So if anything, we're doing them a favor. That's basically like what the portrayal of this kind of person is.
And again, like, I think it's completely fair for us to extrapolate their treatment of one character to the worldview that they feel like they should put upon literally everything.
Yeah.
Simply like because of how many people hold this show as some kind of moral barometer, right? So for this show to turn around and constantly say, you can only ever be one thing, and women can only ever be like half a thing.
I mean, it is definitely, some guy has yelled this at like a woman, be like, your sister should be happy that we're letting her do chores around the house. She's pointless.
Yes.
Like, if I didn't make her do my laundry, she should be dead. She's never been married. What's the point of her? Like, this has definitely impacted the way that a dude has seen the world.
Many a dude has seen the world.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that Malcolm Merriweather episode, I'm going to say Barney meter 7.
Yeah.
The other one, I don't give a shit about this. Barney meter 2. I don't, like, I can't, I'm giving it a 2 just because I hate it. It bores me. Like, fuck you.
It's a sequence of events that are deeply frustrating. I know we're not supposed to do that anymore, where it's a thing we just didn't like, but fuck you. It's our podcast, so we'll do whatever we goddamn feel like. So yeah, it's a 2. I'm gonna agree with that. Yeah.
And that's it.
That's fucking it.
Oh my god, we managed to squeeze an hour out of this. Okay.
Yeah.
As always, you can get us on the internet. On Twitter, we are at Break Mayberry. I am at Schneid Remarks. That's SCHNEID Remarks. Although, I gotta be honest, man, Elon Musk fucking it up for everyone. I don't know how much longer I can stay on that fucking thing.
If he ruins Twitter, it will be his biggest contribution to society by a fucking mile. Well, he'll set everybody free.
Yeah, in a way, I'm grateful.
Yeah. He's gonna create like the Twitter currency that you have to buy to retweet somebody or some bullshit.
Yeah, if anything, I'm happy that he's like the moment of clarity for a lot of addicts, myself included.
Rock bottom.
So there it is. That's breakingmayberry@gmail.com. If you feel like dropping us a nice little letter, don't forget to like, subscribe, rate, and review your favorite episodes if you have not. Music was done by Max Ludwig. Break on Facebook, Join our Facebook group, Breaking Mayberry Fans.
If you're
Check
not
us
a weirdo.
out. Yeah. Patreon.com/Breaking Mayberry if you want to support us with your money dollars. There'll be some changes coming to the Patreon arrangement, which we'll announce very shortly. So stay tuned for that. Other than that, I feel like we're good. Thanks for listening, everybody. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you all down at the fishing hole.